You've been told that shifting your reality requires years of spiritual practice, countless hours of meditation, and mastering complex manifestation techniques. That transformation is something you earn through suffering, struggle, and endless inner work. But what if I told you that quantum shifting is actually so simple, so elegantly basic, that your mind rejects it because it threatens everything you believe about how change works? Right now, as you're listening to this, infinite versions of your life exist simultaneously, not as metaphors or spiritual concepts, but as actual quantum possibilities vibrating just beyond your current perception. The version of you living in abundance, the version experiencing perfect health, the version in your ideal relationship, they're all there, waiting. Not waiting to be created, but waiting to be selected. And here's what nobody tells you. The selection process isn't complex. It doesn't require years of therapy, vision boards covering your walls, or chanting affirmations until your voice goes hoarse. The quantum field responds to one thing and one thing only: your vibrational signature, your energetic broadcast. The frequency you emit when nobody's watching and you think nobody's listening. But here's the problem. We live in a culture that worships complexity. If something isn't hard, it can't be valuable. If it doesn't require struggle, it must be fake. If it comes easily, we don't deserve it. This programming runs so deep that when someone tells you reality can shift in an instant, your mind immediately starts building walls. It starts creating reasons why that's impossible, why you're different, why your situation is more complicated. You've been conditioned to believe that transformation looks like breakthrough moments, dramatic revelations, lightning bolt awakenings. But the truth is far more subtle. Real quantum shifting happens in the spaces between thoughts, in the quiet moments when your guard is down, when you're not trying to make anything happen. It occurs when you finally stop forcing your way forward and allow yourself to simply be. Think about the last time something wonderful showed up in your life unexpectedly. A perfect opportunity, a meaningful connection, a solution to a problem you'd been wrestling with. What was your energy like in the moments before it appeared? Were you gripping, controlling, desperately seeking? Or were you in a state of flow, present, open to what might emerge? Most people miss their quantum shifts because they're looking for fireworks when the field delivers whispers. They're scanning for proof when they should be cultivating presence. They're trying to think their way into a new timeline when the pathway is through feeling, through embodying the version of themselves that already exists in that reality. The quantum field doesn't speak English. It doesn't understand your goals, your plans, or your 5-year vision. It reads energy. It responds to the vibrational frequency you're broadcasting right now, in this moment. And if that frequency is clouded with doubt, urgency, or the desperate need for things to be different, that's exactly what gets reflected back to you. More doubt, more urgency, more of the same patterns you're trying to escape. This is why people stay stuck even when they know all the right concepts. They can recite the law of attraction backwards. They understand quantum physics principles. They've read every spiritual book on the shelf. But knowing isn't being. Understanding isn't embodying. And the field only responds to what you are, not what you know. Here's what's really happening when someone experiences a quantum shift. They're not creating something new. They're accessing something that already exists. Every possible version of your life is already present in the quantum field of infinite potential. Your job isn't to build a new reality from scratch. Your job is to tune into the frequency of the reality you prefer and stay there long enough for it to stabilize. But staying there requires something most people aren't prepared for. It requires you to act as if the shift has already happened before you see any evidence. It requires you to embody the energy of your desired reality while your current circumstances still look exactly the same. It requires you to hold a frequency that feels foreign, unfamiliar, maybe even unsafe to your nervous system. Your nervous system is designed to keep you alive, not to help you thrive. It's programmed to recognize patterns and repeat what's familiar, even if what's familiar is making you miserable. So when you start vibrating at a new frequency, when you begin embodying a different version of yourself, your nervous system sends alarm signals. It creates doubt, fear, the urge to return to what feels safe and known. This is the moment where most people abandon their shift. They interpret the discomfort as a sign they're doing something wrong, that the process isn't working, that they should go back to trying harder, doing more, following more complex methods. But that discomfort isn't failure, it's recalibration. It's your system adjusting to a new baseline, a new normal. The people who successfully shift realities understand something crucial. They know that the moment before breakthrough often feels like breakdown. They know that when old patterns start dissolving, it can feel chaotic, uncertain, like everything is falling apart. But they don't panic. They don't retreat. They recognize this as the natural process of energetic reorganization. Think of it like retuning a radio. When you're switching from one station to another, there's always a moment of static in between. That static isn't a problem to be solved. It's a transition to be navigated. And if you stay calm during the static, if you don't immediately jump back to the old station, you'll eventually lock into the new frequency with crystal clarity. This is why quantum shifting is simple but not easy. The mechanism is straightforward. Change your frequency, change your reality, but maintaining that new frequency while your external world is still catching up, that's where the real work happens. That's where most people lose their nerve and collapse back into familiar patterns. The secret isn't in learning more techniques or finding the perfect method. The secret is in developing the emotional and energetic capacity to hold your new frequency even when nothing seems to be changing, especially then. Because the field is always responding, always reflecting, always organizing reality around your dominant vibration. But it takes time for the physical world to reorganize itself around your new signal. In the next part of this journey, we're going to explore exactly what creates that dominant vibration and why your conscious intentions might not be the signal the field is actually receiving. We'll dive into the invisible patterns that keep people locked in old timelines and reveal the subtle but powerful shifts that allow new realities to emerge. Because once you understand how your energy actually broadcasts, once you see the gap between what you think you're emitting and what you're really putting out into the field, everything changes. The complexity dissolves, the struggle ends, and you begin to work with reality instead of against it. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. Most people aren't broadcasting what they think they're broadcasting. You might believe you're sending out signals of abundance, love, success, but underneath the surface, your subconscious is running a completely different program. And guess which signal the quantum field actually receives? Not the one you consciously intend, but the one your nervous system authentically embodies. This is the hidden layer that nobody wants to examine. The part of you that's still operating from childhood wounds, inherited beliefs, and survival patterns you've never questioned. While your mind is declaring, "I am worthy of love," your body might be contracting with the memory of rejection. While you're affirming abundance, your heart might be clenched with the fear of not having enough. The field doesn't care about your words. It reads your energetic signature like a barcode, and that signature is composed of everything you truly believe about yourself, reality, and what's possible for someone like you. This is why people can do all the right things, follow all the right steps, and still find themselves cycling through the same patterns year after year. They're trying to override their subconscious programming with conscious effort, but that's like trying to change the course of a river by throwing pebbles at it. The current is too strong, too established, too automatic. Real quantum shifting requires you to go deeper, to address the foundational frequencies that have been running your life from behind the scenes. And this is where simplicity becomes radical. Instead of adding more techniques, more practices, more things to do, you start subtracting. You begin to identify and release the energetic patterns that no longer serve you. You stop trying to build a new reality on top of old foundations and instead clear the space for something genuinely new to emerge. But here's what makes this process so challenging. These old patterns didn't just appear randomly, they served a purpose. They kept you safe in environments where being fully authentic might have been dangerous. They helped you navigate family systems, social structures, and cultural expectations that rewarded conformity over creativity, security over growth. So when you start to shift these patterns, when you begin operating from a new frequency, it can feel like you're betraying everyone and everything that shaped you. Your family might not recognize this new version of you. Your friends might feel uncomfortable with your newfound clarity. Your old identity might fight tooth and nail to maintain its grip on your life. This is the loneliness of transformation, the space between who you were and who you're becoming. It's a sacred but difficult passage, and most people turn back here. They decide it's easier to stay small, to remain familiar, to keep broadcasting the same old signal even if it's creating a life they don't actually want. But the ones who push through this threshold, who stay true to their new frequency, even when it feels foreign and frightening, they discover something extraordinary. The quantum field doesn't just respond to their new signal. It begins to actively support it. Synchronicities increase. Opportunities appear from nowhere. The right people show up at exactly the right time. This isn't magic or wishful thinking. It's physics. When you stabilize at a new frequency, when you stop wavering between old and new patterns, your energy becomes coherent. And coherent energy is magnetic. It naturally attracts experiences, relationships, and circumstances that match its vibrational signature. The key word here is stabilize. Most people experience moments of high vibration, brief glimpses of their potential, fleeting tastes of what's possible, but they can't sustain it. They touch the new frequency and then immediately doubt it, question it, analyze it until it disappears. They're like someone trying to tune into a radio station while constantly moving the dial. Stabilization requires something most people aren't taught: emotional regulation. the ability to feel whatever arises without being hijacked by it. When doubt comes up, you acknowledge it without identifying with it. When fear surfaces, you breathe with it without collapsing into it. When old patterns try to reassert themselves, you observe them with compassion but don't automatically follow their lead. This is what I call quantum presence, the capacity to remain anchored in your chosen frequency regardless of what's happening around you or within you. It's not about suppressing difficult emotions or pretending everything is perfect. It's about developing the inner stability to hold your center while life moves and changes around you. And here's the beautiful paradox. The more stable you become in your new frequency, the less you need to control outcomes. You stop trying to force reality to match your preferences because you trust that your authentic vibration will naturally attract what's meant for you. You move from pushing and efforting to allowing and receiving. This shift from doing to being is where the real magic happens. Instead of constantly trying to manage your external world, you focus on managing your internal world. Instead of chasing opportunities, you become the kind of person opportunities seek out. Instead of looking for love, you embody the frequency of love so completely that it has no choice but to find you. But let's be honest about what this actually looks like in practice. It's not always blissful. It's not always easy. There are moments when holding your new frequency feels like swimming upstream, when every fiber of your being wants to revert to old patterns because they're familiar and predictable. These are the moments that separate those who truly shift from those who just talk about shifting. When your bank account is empty but you choose to embody abundance anyway. When you are surrounded by chaos but you maintain your inner peace. When everyone around you is operating from fear but you stay anchored in trust. This isn't about denial or spiritual bypassing. It's about understanding that your external circumstances are always reflecting your internal frequency, usually with a delay. What you're experiencing now is the result of signals you were broadcasting weeks or months ago. What you're broadcasting now is creating what you'll experience in the future. So the question becomes, what frequency are you choosing to embody right now? Not when your circumstances change, not when you feel more ready, not when you have more evidence that it's working. Right now, in this moment, what version of yourself are you choosing to be? Because that choice, made consistently over time, is what creates quantum shifts. Not the big dramatic moments, but the small, quiet decisions to hold your frequency even when no one is watching, even when nothing seems to be changing, even when your mind is telling you it's pointless. In our next exploration, we'll dive into the practical mechanics of frequency stabilization and discover why your relationship with uncertainty might be the key to everything. We'll explore how to navigate the inevitable challenges that arise when you're shifting between timelines and reveal the signs that tell you you're on the right track even when it doesn't feel like it. The truth about quantum shifting becomes clear when you stop trying to figure it out and start feeling your way into it. Because the field doesn't respond to your logic, your analysis, or your perfectly crafted plans. It responds to your embodied truth, the frequency you carry in your bones, the signal that emanates from you when you think nobody's listening. Most people approach shifting like they're solving a math problem. They gather information, create strategies, map out timelines. They treat it like a project to be managed rather than a frequency to be lived. But quantum reality doesn't operate on project management principles. It operates on resonance, on alignment, on the pure signal of who you're being moment by moment. This is why children naturally shift realities with ease. They haven't yet learned that change is supposed to be hard. They haven't been programmed to believe that transformation requires suffering. A child can be devastated one moment and completely joyful the next, not because they're emotionally unstable, but because they haven't learned to hold on to frequencies that no longer serve them. Watch a child play. They become the character they're embodying completely. When they're a superhero, they are a superhero. When they're a princess, they are a princess. There's no separation between imagination and reality because they haven't learned to create that separation. They shift into new identities effortlessly because they haven't been taught that identity is fixed. But somewhere along the way, we learn to complicate everything. We learn that change takes time, that we need to earn our shifts, that we have to prove ourselves worthy before reality will bend to our will. We develop elaborate theories about why things aren't working and complex methods to try to make them work better. Meanwhile, the quantum field is sitting there waiting for us to remember something we knew before we learned to forget it. That reality is fluid, that identity is choice, that the only thing separating you from any version of yourself is the frequency you're willing to embody. Here's what happens when you truly understand this. You stop waiting for permission to be different. You stop looking for evidence that your shift is working. You stop needing validation from others that your new reality is real. You simply become it, and you trust that the external world will catch up in its own timing. But this requires something most people aren't prepared for. It requires you to be okay with being misunderstood. When you start operating from a new frequency, when you begin embodying a different version of yourself, the people around you might not get it. They might question your choices, challenge your new perspectives, even try to pull you back into old patterns because your growth triggers their own resistance to change. This is where many people falter. They want to shift, but they also want everyone to approve of their shift. They want to transform, but they don't want to lose anyone in the process. So they try to change while keeping everyone comfortable, which is like trying to grow while keeping your roots in the same small pot. Real quantum shifting requires courage. Not the kind of courage that fights or forces, but the quiet courage that simply chooses truth over comfort, authenticity over approval, growth over stagnation. It's the courage to disappoint people who are invested in keeping you small, to outgrow relationships that require you to diminish yourself, to leave behind versions of yourself that no longer fit. And here's something nobody tells you about this process. There will be moments when you question everything, when your new frequency feels so foreign that you wonder if you're losing your mind, when the gap between who you're becoming and who you used to be feels so vast that you don't recognize yourself anymore. These moments aren't signs that you're on the wrong path. They're signs that you're on the right one. Because real transformation isn't comfortable, it's not supposed to be. You're literally rewiring your entire system, upgrading your operating system, shifting from one dimension of reality to another. Of course, it feels disorienting. The key is learning to navigate this disorientation without panicking. When everything feels uncertain, when you can't see the path ahead clearly, when your old identity is dissolving and your new one hasn't fully formed yet, that's when you need to trust the process most. That's when you need to remember that confusion is not failure, it's transition. Think about a butterfly in its chrysalis. If you cut open the cocoon during the transformation process, you won't find a butterfly. You'll find what scientists call soup. The caterpillar has completely dissolved, and the butterfly hasn't yet formed. It's pure potential, pure possibility, neither one thing nor the other. This is what quantum shifting feels like from the inside. There are periods where you're neither who you were nor who you're becoming. You're in the space between identities, between realities, between timelines. And in that space, you have to trust something you can't see, believe in something you can't prove, hold faith in a process that defies logic. Most people can't tolerate this uncertainty. They need to know where they're going, how they're going to get there, what it's going to look like when they arrive. They want guarantees, timelines, step-by-step instructions, but quantum shifting doesn't work that way. It requires you to leap before you look, to trust before you have evidence, to embody before you understand. This is why simplicity is so threatening to the mind. The mind wants complexity because complexity gives it something to do, something to figure out, something to control. But quantum shifting bypasses the mind entirely. It's a full-body, full-being experience that happens not through thinking, but through being. When you truly understand this, your entire approach changes. Instead of trying to think your way into a new reality, you feel your way there. Instead of planning your transformation, you allow it. Instead of forcing your shift, you surrender to it. And paradoxically, this surrender is what creates the most powerful changes. Because here's what the quantum field responds to more than anything else: authenticity. The pure, unfiltered truth of who you are beneath all the conditioning, all the programming, all the layers of protection you've built up over the years. When you strip away everything that isn't essentially you, what remains is your unique vibrational signature, your cosmic fingerprint, your quantum DNA. And that signature, when it's clear and unobstructed, is magnetic in ways you can't imagine. It naturally attracts everything that's meant for you and repels everything that isn't. It aligns you with opportunities, relationships, and experiences that match your authentic frequency. It creates a life that feels effortless because you're no longer swimming against your own current. But accessing this authenticity requires something most people are afraid to do. You have to be willing to disappoint others. You have to be willing to be seen as different, weird, or even crazy. You have to be willing to trust your inner knowing, even when everyone around you thinks you're making a mistake. This is the price of quantum shifting. Not money, not time, not effort. The price is conformity. The price is people-pleasing. The price is hiding who you really are to make others comfortable. And for many people, that price feels too high. They'd rather stay stuck in familiar misery than risk the uncertainty of authentic transformation. They'd rather complain about their circumstances than take responsibility for changing them. They'd rather dream about a different life than actually live it. But you're different. You're here, listening to this, because something in you knows there's another way. Something in you remembers that reality is far more fluid than you've been taught. Something in you is ready to stop playing small and start living as the full expression of who you came here to be. That something is your quantum self. The part of you that exists beyond time and space. beyond limitation and conditioning, beyond fear and doubt. It's the part of you that knows, without question, that you are capable of creating any reality you choose, not through force or manipulation, but through alignment and embodiment. And the beautiful thing about this quantum self is that it's not something you need to develop or earn or become worthy of. It's already there, fully formed, waiting for you to remember it, waiting for you to stop looking outside yourself for validation and start trusting the wisdom that lives within you. This is the ultimate simplicity of quantum shifting. You don't need to become someone new. You need to remember who you've always been underneath all the layers of conditioning. You don't need to create a new reality. You need to align with the reality that's already yours in the quantum field of infinite possibility. In our final exploration together, we'll uncover the last piece of this puzzle. We'll discover what it actually takes to sustain a quantum shift once it begins, why most people collapse back into old patterns just as their new reality is about to stabilize, and how to anchor yourself so completely in your new frequency that returning to the old becomes impossible. Because knowing how to shift is only half the equation. Knowing how to stay shifted, how to make your new reality permanent, how to live as the version of yourself you've always dreamed of being, that's where true mastery lies. And it's simpler than you think, which is exactly why most people miss it entirely. The final piece of quantum shifting isn't about acquiring more knowledge or mastering new techniques. It's about something far more fundamental. It's about learning to live in the frequency of your chosen reality without constantly checking to see if it's working. This is where most people stumble. They start embodying their new frequency, they begin to feel the shift happening, and then they make the fatal mistake of looking for proof. They start scanning their environment for evidence that the change is real. They monitor their bank account, analyze their relationships, track their progress like scientists studying an experiment. But the moment you start looking for proof, you've stepped out of the frequency and back into doubt. You've moved from being the shift to waiting for the shift. And waiting is a frequency of lack, of not having, of still being separate from what you desire. The quantum field doesn't respond to your need for evidence. It responds to your embodied certainty. When you truly inhabit a new reality, when you're genuinely living from that frequency, you don't need proof because you are the proof. You don't look for signs because you are the sign. Think about it this way. When you're sitting in a chair, you don't constantly check to make sure the chair is still there. You don't question whether the chair is real or wonder if it might disappear. You simply trust that it's supporting you because you can feel it directly. Your new reality works the same way. When you are truly inhabiting it, questioning it becomes irrelevant. But this level of embodiment requires something most people struggle with. It requires you to live as if your shift has already happened, completely and permanently, while your external circumstances might still be catching up. It means acting from abundance when your bank account says otherwise. It means speaking with confidence when your inner critic says you're not ready. It means showing up as love when the world around you feels harsh and disconnected. This isn't about positive thinking or spiritual bypassing. This is about understanding that your external reality is always reflecting your internal frequency, usually with a time delay. What you're experiencing now was created by the frequency you were holding weeks or months ago. What you're embodying now is creating what you'll experience in the future. So the question becomes, are you willing to hold your new frequency long enough for reality to reorganize around it? Are you willing to trust the process even when nothing seems to be changing? Are you willing to be patient with the field while it recalibrates everything in your life to match your new signal? Most people aren't. They want instant results, immediate validation, proof that their efforts are working. When they don't see changes quickly enough, they assume they're doing something wrong and either try harder or give up entirely. They don't understand that the quantum field works on its own timeline, not theirs. But here's what happens when you develop the capacity to hold your frequency without needing proof. Magic starts to unfold. Not the fantasy kind of magic, but the real kind. The kind that shows up as perfect timing, unexpected opportunities, and synchronicities so precise they take your breath away. You'll be thinking about someone and they'll call. You'll need a solution to a problem, and it'll appear from an unexpected source. You'll be walking down the street and bump into exactly the person you need to meet. These aren't coincidences. They're the natural result of a coherent frequency interacting with an intelligent universe. This is why quantum shifting appears simple from the outside, but requires tremendous inner strength to execute. It's not complicated, but it is demanding. It demands that you trust yourself more than you trust your circumstances. It demands that you believe in your vision more than you believe in your current limitations. It demands that you choose love over fear, expansion over contraction, possibility over probability, and it demands something else that nobody talks about. It demands that you be willing to outgrow yourself repeatedly, because quantum shifting isn't a one-time event. It's a way of living. Once you understand how reality works, once you remember that you're the creator of your experience, you can't unknow it. You become someone who naturally evolves, who naturally expands, who naturally shifts into greater and greater expressions of who you are. This is both the gift and the responsibility of quantum awareness. You can no longer blame your circumstances for your unhappiness. You can no longer pretend that you're powerless to change your life. You can no longer hide behind excuses or wait for someone else to save you. You become responsible for your reality in the most profound way. But with that responsibility comes incredible freedom. The freedom to create any life you can imagine. The freedom to become any version of yourself you choose. The freedom to shift realities as easily as changing channels on a television. Not through force or manipulation, but through alignment and choice. So here's what I want you to understand as we close this exploration together. Quantum shifting isn't something you do occasionally when you want to change something in your life. It's something you become. It's a way of being that recognizes the fluid nature of reality and works with it rather than against it. It's the understanding that every moment is a choice point. Every breath is an opportunity to select a new timeline. Every thought and feeling is a vote for the reality you want to experience. When you truly get this, when it becomes your living truth rather than just an interesting concept, your entire existence transforms. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become a conscious creator. You stop waiting for life to happen to you and start happening to life. You stop looking outside yourself for validation and start trusting the infinite wisdom that lives within you. And the beautiful irony is that once you stop needing reality to change, it starts changing constantly. Once you stop chasing transformation, it starts chasing you. Once you remember that you are the shift you've been seeking, everything shifts around you to reflect that remembering. This is the ultimate simplicity of quantum shifting. You don't have to learn how to do it because you already know how. You've been doing it your entire life, mostly unconsciously. Now you're just choosing to do it consciously, deliberately, with full awareness of your creative power. The only question that remains is this: are you ready to stop complicating what's naturally simple? Are you ready to trust the process even when your mind demands proof? Are you ready to embody the version of yourself you've always known you could be? Because that version of you already exists. Not in some distant future, but right now, in this moment, in the quantum field of infinite possibility. They're not waiting for you to become worthy of them. They're waiting for you to remember that you already are them. The shift is simple. You are the shift. And now that you know this, there's nothing left to do but live it. And if you have made it this far, you already know. This isn't just a video, it's a transmission, and something in you, something subtle but unmistakable, has already started to rearrange. If you felt it, if it resonated, if something clicked, subscribe now. Not just for the next video, but for the next version of you. This isn't just a channel, it's a frequency, and every subscriber is a signal to the field. I remember who I am, welcome back. You always have been the shift, and now the field knows it too.